Hey there, pilgrims. You know, coup last couple of days I've had a couple of things on my mind. And I just got done watching the second movie Purge, or Purge, I believe it's called Purge Anarchy. And if you have seen the first version of the movie Purge, it's in the not too distant future, and they put it about 2026, where the U.S.A is now the N.F.F.A, which means New Founding Fathers of America. Okay. And of course, the society is built around the fact that once a year they have an international purge of the N.F.F.A because the U.S.A no longer exists. And society in America that we experience at the moment has been totally destroyed and restructured into this quasi-killing civilian atmosphere where civilians are allowed one time a year to go out and purge, kill who they want without any, it's legal, perfectly okay. No punishment, no nothing. Anybody's available to be purged, of course. Naturally, the whole thing behind this is social economic. Since the purges have started, naturally the unemployment rate is down, it's only 5%. And basically society has gone to the trouble to kill off all the homeless and to settle all its personal scores among themselves. So if you feel that you've been wronged by an individual, you just go out and you once a year go out and get them. Now, of course, people have their safe rooms and safe houses and their little safe stockades, and they all band together and they try to go through the night without being affected. And even family members who have a bad time wind up killing each other. Yeah. So you're not really sure about if you're even safe from your own immediate family. And what I find really disturbing about this is a probability in our society that we could revert quite easily to this kind of lifestyle. Anybody could, where your nation is no longer a republic, but a weird tyranny, which is controlled primarily by government, to the ultimate way of getting the civilian population to kill its own self off so it doesn't cost the government any more money than what it does already. Now, there's a line in the second feature near the very end, the second movie, where I'm not going to give away the plot if you haven't seen it, but there is one line I want to bring up, is where a government man is talking to another government man, and he says, you know, we had to go out ourselves in our own special squads representing the government because the civilians aren't killing each other off enough to make the numbers viable for what we want. Okay, so this is what ultimate crowd control, population control by a tyrannical government which has its own agenda. Makes you think, right? Because what I'm bringing up right now is what is happening right now in our today's society. We have basically our country working with a coalition of other countries to get involved in a war with other countries that are working on their coalition. And this is building up right now as you're looking at this recording that I'm making. And, you know, I want you to take note of the fact that this is going on. It's been going on. And we still have this epidemic, which could go very, very badly, called Ebola. And the population death count now in northern Africa, I believe, is 3,000 and above. And we're not talking about the fact that it's still only located primarily there, but there's even where I live in Thailand as an expat from the U.S.A, they're saying beware up until the year 2015. There are possibilities. Now they're gauging this. It doesn't mean it can't happen in 2016, right? So here we are. Where are we going right now? This is what's got me disturbed as an individual, a member of the humanity in an international society setting where there are going to be something like this setting that I'm using right now in my program, which is what they call post-apocalyptic. We have so many things happening right now that, remember back in the old days, not too long ago, they had something called the Crusades, where all the Crusaders went to take back the Holy Land from the big bad Muslims, and they were going to teach them. And they had, I believe, 7 of these, and they failed at all 7 of them. Even when they took the property, they couldn't keep it. You see, but now, the thing called jihad, or the holy war, or whatever they're going to have, is the ages have changed over almost 1,000 years. And here we are, we're to a point now to where, guess what? They're going to bring it to our front porch in the Western world. Instead of the West going east and fighting the battle there, now they're going to be coming both back and forth. So then it becomes technically a world war. Now, whether or not it's declared as a war, or anybody declares war on each other, terrorism is an act of war. So what are we going to go through now? An era of terrorism wars. Not just Ireland blowing things up in England, the IRS, the IRA. The IRS has enough damage to America, to my people already. But we're not going to have people blowing up bombs outside of embassies or in city centers in other countries. They're going to start happening all over the world, which in effect changes terrorism into an act of warfare. And it, in effect, could be called a third world war. That's without bringing in the big guns, the tanks, the aircraft carriers, the bombs, and all the other stuff. The technology is now old, but it's still very deadly. And biological and all kinds of agents can be released by these people. They're easy to make. They can cook this shit up. Hey, really, atomic weapons don't have to be like, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. They can be dirty bombs, which the Germans were working on, also dropping on New York when they had their high caliber aircraft developed. And if they were allowed a few years, they would have had it. And Manhattan was target number 1 for the U.S.A. They were going to drop a dirty nuclear bomb on Manhattan. That's been recorded and noted. So here we go. It wouldn't have been a massive explosion, but what it would have done was thrown enough radioactive matter into the atmosphere and around there to contaminate the whole area, to leave it unlivable for maybe 3, 4, 5, 10,000 years, like Chernobyl, as an example. What's going on in little old Japan, where we still have thousands of tons of nuclear waste and water being dumped from 2 reactors into the ocean, which are contaminating still. We have a virus going on in Africa, North Africa, which can be very spreadable because they're beginning to realize that maybe it can be airborne also. This is a virus, not a bacteria. Okay, we can cure this. No, if they could cure that, they can cure AIDS, they can cure the common cold. It is a virus. The idea is the virus will run its course and die of starvation from having enough people to eat. Because a virus eats you, is what it does. Okay, now I've gone about almost 10 minutes, which I try to keep them at that. But I want you to keep this in mind. Right now is what I'm concerned about is the fact that while we're sitting back, watch what our government is doing with all these other governments, and are they going to escalate this into a third world war? Now, okay, maybe I'm just being a paranoid guy, but you know something, I wonder if my paranoia, after basing it on logic from the past of our world and our cultures, is not just doing this an old-fashioned way with a modern technology. They've used terrorism for thousands of years in combat between different nations. People have also used bacterial weaponry and fire and things like that. Chemical, things like this have been around for thousands of years. Now we have it a little bit more refined. But watch what takes place and keep in mind that, something, the West did not win those crusades, they lost them. And getting a big army together to fight the big bad guy, is that really what they're doing? Are they going to plunge us into another world thing that'll set us back to where a particular man by Einstein said if there is a third world war fought, the fourth world war will be fought with sticks, rocks and sticks. Anyway, enough of that. Wishing you all a good day and hoping that everything doesn't go post-apocalyptic. And I hope that we can have a better venue next time I talk to you, a little more cheerier. Take care. I'm hoping that everything's going to work out. Hope you're feeling okay, but watch these guys. We can't trust them. You know it. I know it. Bye.